Commissioner of Major League Baseball is Rob Manfred, good enough to join us tonight. Rob, thank you very much for taking this time. And I'll start here. You told Carl Ravitch here on ESPN last week that you felt 100% certain that there will be a season this year. How do you feel today?
Well, I know the owners are 100% committed to getting baseball back on the field. Unfortunately, I can't tell you that I'm 100% certain that's going to happen. We had a couple of developments over the weekend that were really negative in terms of our efforts. The first was the Players Association's decision to end good faith negotiations. I understand that the players were frustrated by the lack of progress on the monetary issue, but this is about a lot more than money. We need an agreement with the MLBPA on health and safety protocols in order to put the game back on the field safely. And even more important, we need a commitment from the players that they can abide by those health protocols. And given the course of the virus and what's going on right now around the country, those health protocols are absolutely crucial. And we're only going to get there with dialogue that the union's apparently not prepared to have right now. Equally important, I had been hopeful that once we got to common ground on the idea that we were going to pay the players full prorated salary, that we would get some cooperation in terms of proceeding under the agreement that we negotiated with the MLBPA on March 26th. Unfortunately, over the weekend, while Tony Clark was declaring his desire to get back to work, the union's top lawyer was out telling reporters, players, and eventually getting back to owners that as soon as we issued a schedule, as they requested, they intended to file a grievance claiming they were entitled to an additional $1 billion. Obviously, that sort of bad faith tactic makes it extremely difficult to move forward in these circumstances. The only thing I can tell you is that the owners are committed to trying to find a way through this and getting the game back on the field.
So what is the next move? What do you do now?
Well, we're going to try to open a line of communication with the MLBPA. We'll be communicating with them in writing today about some of the things that need to be done in order to cooperatively get back on the field. And we're hopeful that we'll get a more positive response to that overture.
What is the last time that you had conversations with Tony Clark, or that the two sides actually talked?
A week ago Sunday was the last time we talked in person. There's been written communication since then, but that was the last time we talked in person. So
let me make sure that I'm fully understanding what you're telling me about what the lawyer is suggesting. You're telling me, and I'm not going to put words in your mouth, that Tony Clark said, just tell us where and when to show up and play and we'll do so, but that it is not your belief that that is their intention.
That's correct. I mean, he's been very open with members of the press. We've had players repeated to us that the intention is to get us to issue a schedule and immediately begin litigation based on the issuance of that schedule.
And so what has been the response of the owners you've talked to since that?
The clubs are interested in one thing. The clubs are interested in finding a way back on the field, and it remains their strong preference to get back on the field with an agreement or at least the cooperation of the players.
Rob, what are your concerns for the optics of this circumstance playing out as publicly as they are during the time in this country where all the other things, the confluence of events involving the pandemic and protest in the streets and everything else, of this playing out as publicly as it is?
It's just a disaster for our game. Absolutely no question about it. It shouldn't be happening, and it's important that we find a way to get past it and get the game back on the field for the benefit of our fans.
What do you think is the best way to do that? I know that negotiation through the media has generally not worked, but I haven't seen anything lately that has. So let's see, what do you think can happen from here that will be constructive, that will work towards getting the game back on the field?
Look, I think that the best opportunity to make an agreement is always to get into a room face-to-face, discuss the issues, and try to find a cooperative path forward.
I feel like the clock is ticking, right? Because you have a firm end date. It's been made clear the owners want this to wrap up, a World Series to be completed by the end of October. So how soon, how close are we getting to a place where we're going to run out of time?
We are running out of time. The clock is ticking on this, but the important first step is a willingness on the part of the MLBPA to get back at the table and engage in the process.
So if you were 100% last week and you feel less certain, what percentage do we feel now?
You know, Mike, I do learn as I go along. Given how long my 100% prediction lasted, I'm not going to handicap it again, but it's something less than 100, that's for sure.
Would you describe your feelings as confident that there will still be a season?
I'm not confident, Mike. I think there's real risk, and as long as there's no dialogue, that real risk is going to continue.
Thank you very much for spending the time with us tonight. Stay safe, and thank you again.
Thanks, Mike.
Our interview with Rob Manfred was recorded earlier in the afternoon. We reached out to the Players Association to give them the chance to respond. They responded with a statement, and I'll read it to you in its entirety. They wrote, "Players are disgusted that after Rob Manfred unequivocally told players and fans that there would 100% be a 2020 season, he has decided to go back on his word and is now threatening to cancel the entire season. Any implication that the Players Association has somehow delayed progress on health and safety protocols is completely false, as Rob has recently acknowledged the parties are, quote, very, very close. This latest threat is just one more indication that Major League Baseball has been negotiating in bad faith since the beginning. This has always been about extracting additional pay cuts from players, and this is just another day and another bad faith tactic in their ongoing campaign." Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.